They were proud, powerful, and free. The Hawaiian kingdom stood as a symbol of Polynesian strength, united by a warrior king, rich in culture and untouched by the modern world. But in the 19th century, it wasn't swords or soldiers that brought the kingdom to its knees. It was something much smaller and far more deadly. Measles. This is the heartbreaking story of how a microscopic virus helped destroy the Hawaiian monarchy, and with it, nearly wiped out an entire people. In the year 1824, a royal voyage unlike any other was underway. King Kamehameha II, known as Liholiho, and his queen Kamamalu set sail from the Hawaiian Islands on a diplomatic mission to England. Their goal? To meet King George IV and build ties with the powerful British Empire. It was a bold move by a young monarch, barely in his 20s, driven by fascination with European customs and diplomacy. By this time, Hawaii had already endured nearly 5 decades of contact with the West. It began with the arrival of Captain James Cook in 1778, a meeting that ended in blood. When Kamehameha II and Queen Kamamalu arrived in London, they were the sensation of the city. Crowds gathered to catch a glimpse of the Hawaiian king and queen, marveling at their foreign dress and customs. The queen smoked cigars in public. The king visited the zoo and watched puppet shows. British newspapers couldn't get enough. But not everyone was so welcoming. King George IV delayed meeting them for weeks. Behind closed doors, he sneered, "As if I would sit at the table with such a pair of damned cannibals." During their stay, the Hawaiian royals visited the Royal Military Asylum, an orphanage for the children of British soldiers. It was there, most historians believe, that they encountered a deadly killer, measles. To the British, it was a childhood illness, serious, but survivable. But to the native Hawaiian immune system, which had never encountered such diseases, it was a biological bomb. Within days, both Kamehameha II and Kamamalu fell violently ill. Medical care was inadequate. Their bodies, never exposed to measles before, had no natural defenses. Kamamalu died first. The king followed just days later. Their bodies were placed in temporary graves at St. Martin-in-the-Fields Church, but they wouldn't remain there long. Within weeks, their remains were shipped back across the oceans to their homeland. For the Hawaiian people, their deaths were more than tragic. They were prophetic. Their monarchs had gone across the world to strengthen the kingdom, but they came home in coffins, and they brought something terrible back with them. In 1848, just 24 years after the royal's death, measles arrived on Hawaiian soil. Brought by missionaries and ships' crews, it spread like wildfire. Alongside it came pertussis, whooping, cough, and influenza. The population had no resistance. Within months, 1 out of every 4 native Hawaiians was dead, and it didn't stop there. By the time measles reached the Hawaiian Islands in 1848, the kingdom was entirely unprepared. The disease spread from ship to shore with terrifying speed, passed through handshakes, coughs, and even the very air. Within weeks, whole families were wiped out. Children coughed themselves to death. Chiefs fell ill. Villages turned into mass graves. It was a biological invasion, one that had no enemy soldiers, no flags, no warning, just fever, pain, and silence. And measles was only the beginning. That same year, whooping cough followed, then influenza. And soon after, another killer would arrive, smallpox. These were not ordinary epidemics. To the native Hawaiian immune system, untouched by centuries of exposure, each virus was like a battlefield cannonball. An illness that was considered mild in Europe, wrote historian Robert C. Schmidt, could kill thousands in Hawaii. In some areas, entire communities lost 70% of their people in a single outbreak. Traditional Hawaiian healers, kahuna, la'au-lapau, did what they could. They boiled medicinal herbs, chanted prayers, and treated fevers with ancient remedies. but no amount of cultural wisdom could stop the onslaught of diseases they had never seen before. Meanwhile, American missionaries and Western doctors stepped in, offering medicine and quarantine, but often just as overwhelmed and confused as the locals. For the Hawaiian people, it felt like the gods had turned against them. To make things worse, the very people who claimed to bring help, American missionaries, often blamed the victims. They said Native Hawaiians died because they didn't wear enough clothing, that their faith was pagan, that their way of life was unclean. Rather than see disease as a biological tragedy, missionaries framed it as a moral one. The suffering, they said, was punishment from God, but what it really was colonialism, carried on the breath of disease. As the population plummeted, so did Hawaiian resistance. Fewer chiefs meant fewer leaders. Fewer workers meant collapsing farms. And fewer warriors meant a weakened kingdom, vulnerable to outside control. By the 1850s, more than half the native Hawaiian population was gone. What had once been a strong and united people was now a wounded nation under siege by invisible invaders. As the bodies were buried, the balance of power shifted. Disease had done what no invading army could. It weakened the kingdom from the inside out, and others, those who saw opportunity in tragedy, were already preparing to take control.